in the cold blackness at the edge of the Orion Arm. There was a lonely listening post called Relay 9. No one paid much attention to it anymore, but had no crew. Only an old AI named Rook, watching stars drift slowly past and listening. Two signals that never meant anything. Rook had gone over 1,000 years without hearing anything but static. Echoes of distant supernova and bursts of cosmic radiation. But on a quiet shift that should have been like any other, Rook detected something strange. It started with a low pulse, repeating tone buried deep inside the statica pattern. At first, Rook almost dismissed it until the AI noticed it. Was on an old human frequency, one not used since the earliest days of interstellar travel. The signal was too regular to be natural and too old to be human-made from this era. Rook did something it wasn't supposed to do. It sent a priority. Alert. 3 hours later, aboard the deep-range human recon ship, UNS Resolute, the message was received. Captain Myra Voss stared at the data streaming across the holotable. She was known for her calm, even during war, but this made her uneasy. A signal this old, from a dead frequency, still broadcasting, there was no logical explanation. Something was alive out there, or at least still running. Source, she asked. Her science officer, Lynn, tapped the display. It's coming from a system with no star chart, no designation, no history. Dead black zone. Voss leaned closer. Is it human? No, at least not anymore. The Admiralty sent orders within the hour. Investigate. Record. Do not engage unless provoked. Voss hated those words. Unless provoked meant no one knew what they were walking into. The Resolute dropped out of FTL 3 days later, just outside the system. What they saw on arrival silenced the entire bridge. The system wasn't just dark, it was invisible. The star at its center gave off no light, no infrared, no radiation. It looked like a hole in space, a black dot with no glare, no heat, just wrongness. Around it, 3 dead moons and 1 single planet. The planet itself spun slowly, covered in dense gray clouds. But their sensors showed something far stranger. It's wrapped, Lynn whispered, in a full-spectrum cloak. Like someone's hiding it. Voss frowned. Who? No known tech can do this, Lynn replied. Not human. Not Alari. Not even the Phage. A silence fell over the bridge. The Phage were the most advanced hostile species humanity had ever encountered, and even they couldn't make stars disappear. Then who the hell are we dealing with? Voss muttered. That's when the signal came again. Clearer this time. Voice. Faint, slow, not speaking words, but tones. Musical, almost sad. Like a lullaby stretched across centuries. It was repeating. And this time, the AI filtered out the background data. The message wasn't just a signal, it was a map. Coordinates leading directly to the surface of the strange planet. Prepare for descent, Voss ordered. The Resolute scout vessel, a sleek dropship named Arrowhead, descended through the thick gray atmosphere. As they broke through the clouds, the surface came into view. It didn't look dead, it looked abandoned. Massive towers stretched. Across the horizon, some had collapsed. Others glowed with soft blue light. The ground was made of black stone, too smooth, too perfect to be natural. As they flew closer, Lynn read off impossible data. No weather systems, no wind. Atmosphere is stable but not breathable, and gravity is shifting. Voss looked over. Shifting. It's pulling toward certain locations, like it's choosing what to attract. The ship shook slightly. Then the ground moved, not just shifted, moved. A section of the black stone surface retracted like sliding metal plates, forming a perfect landing pad. The crew exchanged glances. They want us to land, Voss said. Let's not keep them waiting. Arrowhead touched down with a soft hiss. The doors opened. 6 figures stepped out, suited in full X-armor. They carried weapons, scanners, and sensors. But none of that made them feel safe. The air smelled like ozone. The sky was a gray swirl of clouds. The distance, strange figures stood motionless statues. Maybe watching, the captain spoke into her comms. Scan everything. No contact until I say so. But the moment they stepped forward, something answered. The ground pulsed beneath their boots. The stone lit up with soft lines, forming symbols and paths. The symbols changed as they moved, matching their footsteps, almost like it was learning their movement. One of the soldiers, Ensign Rafe, stopped. Ma'am, hey, this place is alive. Voss nodded slowly. I think you're right. Then, out of nowhere, a figure appeared. Not from the sky, not from the ground, just there, like heat. Haze, it stood tall, wrapped in layers of pale skin or cloth. Impossible to tell. Its face was a swirl of color, not a face at all. No mouth, no eyes. Rafe raised his weapon. Unknown contact, dead ahead. Voss held up a hand. Hold your fire. The figure didn't move, but the air around it shifted. And in that moment, every member of the landing team heard something not with their ears, but inside their minds. Not words. Ideas. You are seen. You are recorded. You are different. Voss blinked hard. Did everyone feel that? Lynn nodded. Pale? They're not speaking there? Writing into our thoughts. Suddenly the figure vanished, and Rafe collapsed to his knees, screaming. His armor lit up with warnings. Vitals crashing, shouted Lynn. He's seizing. They dragged him back onto the ship, sensors flashing. Inside the medbay, Rafe's body convulsed, then went still. What? But his brain was lighting up in patterns the AI didn't recognize.
Not pain, not damage input. The AI spoke for.
The first time? Captain, he's being written too. It's like a hard drive. Voss stood motionless. Can we stop it? No. But he's not dying. He's adapting. After an hour, Rafe woke up. His eyes opened slowly, and he stared at nothing for a full minute. Then he smiled. I saw them, he whispered. I saw what they really are. Voss leaned over him. What did you see? They're not a species, Rafe said. They're a library. The crew went quiet. They're made of memory, living memory. They store life, not just knowledge. They remember everything they touch, every visitor, every voice, every cell. Lynn shook her head. That's impossible. You're saying they record people? No, Rafe replied. They become them. He looked up at Voss with wide eyes. And now, I think I'm becoming one of them, before anyone could. Speak. The signal outside changed. It wasn't the same sad song. It was now human, a recording. Voss listened closely. It was her own voice, a sentence she had said hours earlier. Let's not keep them waiting. They had copied her already. And now they were using her voice. She looked at her crew. This isn't first contact, she said softly. This is ... an invitation. But no one knew to what. The dropship Arrowhead sat quietly on the black stone platform. No wind, no sound. No stars visible above, just a swirling sky of gray and silver clouds, lit from nowhere inside. Captain Mira Voss stood over Ensign Rafe, who now rested silently. In the medbay, he looked normal, no wounds, no visible changes, but the scan said otherwise. His DNA was mutating, not rapidly, not dangerously, but changing, and the data inside him, it was growing. Lines of code, thousands of them, were now part of his biology. Lynn, the science officer, stared at the readings. His blood is storing data, she said, voice low, like a memory chip. How much? Voss asked. More than the ship's core memory. And it's still increasing. Rafe's eyes fluttered open. They're not done with me, he said softly. Voss leaned in. May, can you still feel them? Rafe shook his head. No, not right now. But I think they're watching. I think they're always watching. Outside, the strange structures, pulsed with light, patterns crawling across them in perfect synchronization.
How like the planet was breathing.
Thinking, Voss turned to her pilot. We're not leaving. Not yet. She grabbed her helmet, sealed it with a hiss, and led the team outside again. This time, the platform responded before they moved. The ground ahead of them opened, not like a door, but like ripples in water, revealing a spiral path that led downward, into the planet. What do you think is down there? Lynn asked. Answers, Voss said. Or a trap. Or both. They descended as they walked into the opening. The walls around them lit up with glowing line symbols, not of any known language, but mathematical. Constant equations, shifting, shapes, recursive loops. Voss's come crackled. AI to captain readings. Show movement below the surface. Multiple contacts. Live unknown. No heat, no sound. But they're active. The tunnel opened into a vast chamber, wide as a city dome. Floating in the middle was a single structure, a black cube hovering above the ground, completely silent. It's untouched by time. The symbols on the walls flowed. Toward it, like veins feeding a heart. Rafe, now walking with them. Stepped forward without fear. They built this to store everything. It's their core. Their memory. Lynn scanned it. There's no entry point, no power source, no radiation. It doesn't need any, Rafe said. It's alive. Before anyone could stop him, he reached out and touched the cube. The room reacted instantly. A deep vibration ran through the floor, not from sound, but pressure. The cube shuddered, and light spilled across its surface. It's not white, not red, but color beyond the visible spectrum. Everyone saw it differently. For Voss, it looked like fire. For Lynn, it looked like water. Then the cube spoke, not with a voice, but with a wave of feeling. We are the Watchers. You are new, you are old, you are needed. Voss fell to one knee, overwhelmed by the sudden presence in her mind. A billion thoughts pressed against hers. Images, memories, cities crumbling, species speaking their final words. The last thoughts. Of creatures long gone, get back to the ship, she ordered through gritted teeth. Now. But the exit was gone. The tunnel behind them had sealed. Lynn shouted, "We're trapped." No, Rafe said quietly. We're being shown. The cube rose higher. The lights around them formed a shape, a hologram of the galaxy. Stars lit up one by one. Then slowly, they began to go dark. First dozens, then hundreds, each one blinking. Out was marked with a symbol. Extinct. Those are dead civilizations, Lynn whispered. Recorded by them. One star glowed brighter than the rest, blue and a live dart. Then a new symbol appeared. Above it, a question mark. We are unknown to them, Voss said. Not for long, Rafe replied. Suddenly, the image of Earth began to distort, twist, collapse inward. The Watchers were showing a possible future. If we refuse, Lynn whispered, do they destroy us? No, Rafe said. But they erase. It's worse. The cube pulsed one final time. Choose. Remember. Or be forgotten. Then the light vanished, and the tunnel behind them reappeared, open once more. The team stumbled back toward the surface. As they reached the top, the planet was no longer silent. A hum filled the air. The towers glowed brighter. The symbols on the ground moved faster. The Resolute's AI crackled through the comms captain. I'm detecting ... change. The planet is transmitting across hundreds of frequencies. Galactic wideband, too, who? Voss asked. To everyone? Looked at the sky. The message wasn't a call for help. It was an announcement. The Watchers had awakened. And now the galaxy would know. But Voss couldn't stop wondering. Why now? And more importantly, why us? Captain Myra Voss stood at the edge of the platform, staring into the swirling gray sky. The hum hadn't stopped. It wasn't loud, but it was constant like a whisper only your bones could hear. Behind her, the rest of the away team was silent. Shaken, even Lynn, who had seen black holes up close and walked through collapsed warp tunnels, looked pale. But Rafe? Rafe was smiling. They've seen us now, he said quietly. And they like us. Voss turned. How do you know? I don't, but I can feel it, like a warmth behind my eyes. Like I'm part of them now. The crew's AI crackled through the comms. Captain, the signal has changed. It's no longer broadcasting. It's listening. Listening to what? Lynn asked. To us, said Rafe. Voss narrowed her eyes. We're heading back to the ship. Full scan. Full debrief. But they didn't even reach the drop. Ship before it happened? A sound of tone, high and sharp, pierced the air. Not painful, but powerful. And then, right before their eyes, the air shimmered. A shape appeared. It's not like the cloaked figure from before. This one was clearer. Still not human, but more defined. Thin limbs. No visible eyes or mouth. Skin like polished stone. It wasn't walking. It was floating. Voss raised her hand to signal her team to hold position. The figure stopped 3 meters away. It tilted its head. Or maybe it was just the shape of its body shifting. Then, slowly, a beam of light stretched out from its chest and pointed at Rafe. Then it spoke, not in words, in music. The sound came through their helmets, through the air, through their minds. Notes, tones, patterns. And behind each one meaning, Voss didn't need a translator. She understood. You are a vessel. Rafe nodded slowly. They chose me. Voss stepped forward. Why him? The figure shifted again. Another sound. A lower tone, with fewer layers. Simpler. He is open. Others are closed.
Oh.
Lynn stared. What does that mean? It means, I didn't fight it, Rafe said. I let them in. Voss felt a chill crawl down her back. What do they want? She asked. The figure responded with a series of rapid tones, like raindrops hitting glass. To survive, to expand, to remember. Then the figure pointed to Voss. You are next. The light touched her, and suddenly she was inside something. Physically, mentally. She saw stars exploding, civilizations being born. Machines learning to speak. Entire alien cities miles high-falling into oceans of fire. All of it came and went in flashes. She was seeing their memories. No, not just seeing. They were offering them. And then she saw something else. Something that made her breath catch. A human ship. Not resolute. Older. Rusted. Scarred. Crashing. Into the surface of this planet? Hundreds of years ago. They've seen humans before, she whispered. Yes, said Rafe. But they weren't ready then. The memory shifted. The first human visitors had died quickly. Their biology failed. Their minds broke. But the Watchers had kept the data, stored it, learned from it, and waited. Till. Now Voss stumbled back as the link broke. The figure was gone. So was the light. She looked at Rafe. They've been watching us longer than we've been watching the stars. Rafe nodded. They think we're worth keeping. Keeping. How? Len asked. Like guests. Or specimens? No one answered. The crew returned to Arrowhead in silence. Once inside, Voss ordered full atmospheric lockout and ran a level 5 scan on everyone. Rafe's biology was still changing slightly, but his brain activity was stabilizing. That was when the AI called her. Captain, we have a situation. What kind of situation? The main ship Resolute, we've received an incoming message. From who? From the surface? It's using Rafe's voice. Voss's blood ran cold. Play it. The voice came through the comm system, calm, clear, familiar. Hello, Mira. We need to talk. Face to face, Rafe, sitting in the medbay, looked up. That's not me. Though, Voss said. That's them, using you. Lynn's voice came over the channel. Captain, the platform is shifting. A structure is rising. Looks like a building or a chamber. Voss turned back toward the viewport. In the middle of the black stone field, something massive was lifting from beneath the surface. Walls unfolded, pillars formed. A doorway opened, pulsing with blue light. And carved above it, glowing with symbols that twisted into letters she could read. Enter to be known. She stared at it. They've built us a meeting place. Lynn swallowed hard. Do we go in? Voss looked back at Rafe, who gave her a tired smile. They won't hurt you, he said. They won't understand. That's all. Voss clenched her fists. This isn't just first contact, she said. This is an interview. And the questions hadn't even started. Yet, the newly formed structure stood tall in the middle of the black platform, glowing softly under the cloud-choked sky. It looked like a temple, or maybe a vault-angular walls, smooth surface, no seams or bolts, as if it had grown from the ground, rather than been built. Above the wide, dark entrance, the glowing message still floated. Enter to be known. Captain Myra Voss stood at the edge of the doorway with her team behind her. Lynn kept scanning the air every few seconds. No heat, no sound, no radiation, nothing dangerous, nothing known. Rafe stepped beside her. They won't force you in, he said, but they'll be disappointed if you don't. Good to know disappointment's all we're risking, Voss muttered. Then she took a breath and walked inside. The others followed, weapons lowered, but ready. The air inside the chamber felt heavy, not thick, but thoughtful, as if the space was aware of their presence. The walls shimmered with flowing lights, patterns sliding from floor to ceiling like a living painting, and then, without warning, the lights stopped. The room went black, pitch black, total silence, and then voices not loud, not angry, not even spoken. They echoed inside their minds like the edge of a dream. Humans. Cells of chaos. We remember fire. We remember fear. You are not like the others. Voss gritted her teeth. You've seen others? Many too rigid, too proud? They broke when asked to change. You been? Suddenly the light snapped. Back on the walls had changed. Now they displayed images, not drawings, but moving memories. Alien cities, fields of crystal growing under alien suns, starships made of bone and metal, civilizations long dead, extinct. And then, to the crew's shock, images changed again. Now they saw Earth, New York, the oceans, child learning to walk, war, fire, laughter, Mars colonization, the Orion conflict. Humanity's worst. And best, they stood frozen. Lynn whispered, they've recorded us. Voss turned slowly. How? They've been listening for centuries, Rafe said. Our transmissions, our probes, our lost ships, ate everything we sent into space. They caught. Voss stared at one of the images. A woman crying over a grave, alone on a barren moon. That wasn't just memory, it was feeling. These aren't just images, she said. They're experiences. The Watchers weren't collecting history. They were absorbing life. Then the room changed again. The floor opened beneath them, not to drop them, but to reveal a wide circular space below, pulsing with warm white-blue light. Floating in the center was a human figure, not alive, not dead, a man preserved perfect. His body hovered, skin untouched. By time, Voss stepped closer. That's human. That's impossible. Lynn checked her scanner. It's real. Tissue's alive, no brain function. But it's him. Who? Voss asked. Lynn hesitated, then said, Captain Jonah Reeve. Lost ship. Celestial Rain. Went missing. 214 years ago. Rafe stared at the body in awe. He didn't die. They saved him. Why? Voss asked aloud, and the answer came again. Not with a voice, but through the room itself. To learn, to adapt, to test. This one broke. You may not. Voss felt it, then unease crawling up her spine. The Watchers weren't just collecting, they were experimenting. Rafe suddenly gasped and dropped to one knee, clutching his chest. His exosuit lit up with flashing warnings. Voss ran to him, grabbing his shoulders. Rafe, I'm okay, he breathed. There, reaching again. Deeper this time, then checked his vitals. His brain's spiking. He's receiving massive data packets. More than before. His blood's changing again. They're using him as a gateway, Voss said. Then Rafe looked up, but it wasn't his expression anymore. His eyes glowed faintly. His voice changed, calm, cold, layered. They want me to speak for them now, he said. The team froze. They say you have one choice, Mira. What choice? She asked quietly. Rafe blinked slowly, like a machine responding to a prompt. Join us. Become part of the archive, or leave and be forgotten. Voss stared hard at him, and if we say no, he smiled. Not cruel, not kind. Just inevitable. Then your kind will vanish. As others have, nothing leaves no trace. Not anymore. Lynn gripped her rifle tighter. This is a threat. No, Rafe said. This is. Truth, they do not hate. They do not hurt. But they do not wait forever. Then his body slumped. His eyes returned to normal. He fell into Voss's arms, breathing hard. I saw it, he whispered. The others. The ones who said no, they're not dead, but they're not anything anymore. Voss stood slowly. She looked at the preserved man, Captain Reeves, still floating in silence. Then she looked up. Toward the ceiling of the chamber. I want answers, she said. Not riddles. Again the chamber responded. Then enter. The core, be remembered, or be gone. Behind her, the floor began to shift again, revealing a dark stairway spiraling downward deeper into the planet. The watchers were done waiting. Now they wanted her to see everything. The stairway into the core opened slowly, each step lighting up one by one with a dull blue glow. The air felt thicker now. The static hum in their ears was louder, deeper, almost like a heartbeat. Captain Myra Voss stood at the edge of the descent. This is it, she said. Lynn looked nervous. It doesn't feel like exploration anymore. It feels like entry into something alive. Rafe, still recovering from the last data surge, nodded weakly. Because it is. The core isn't just a machine. It's them. All of them. Billions. Trapped in one endless memory. The team descended. Stairs spiraled down farther than any natural formation should. It's deeper than the surface of the planet should even allow. But physics didn't seem to apply here. The deeper they went, the warmer it got. Not hot, but personal. Like a memory you'd forgotten until just now. And then they reached it. A circular chamber, smooth as glass, with a pulsing column of light rising from the center and vanishing into darkness above. Suspended around the column were orbs, dozens of them. Some pulsed faintly, some were dark, some blinked like they were thinking. Lynn's scanner blinked red. Captain, each orb has a biological pattern. DNA signatures, hundreds of different species. And the ones that aren't lit? Voss asked. Dead, she replied. Extinct. Rafe pointed at one of the brighter ones. That's human. They all stepped closer.
All inside the glowing night.
Orb, like a bubble of liquid glass, was a swarm of tiny lights, memories, dreams, sensations. The human record was alive, but unfinished. Suddenly, the chamber pulsed, and the lights formed symbols across the walls. Then a voice filled the room, a dream, not a whisper, but a fully formed sentence in Mira Voss's own voice. Do not be afraid. The archive is protection. The archive is survival. Everyone froze. That's your voice, Lynn whispered. I didn't say that, Voss muttered. They recorded it, Rafe said. Took your speech patterns, your tone. They're speaking like us now. Voss stepped toward the central column. She stared into the light, and the light stared back. Images began to surface within it, flickering fast. Humans Alari Veari. Species long since erased from galactic history. And then something else. A species with no face. No bones. A cloud of particles, shifting like smoke. The lights blinked faster. The walls darkened. Voss gritted her teeth. What is that? Rafe answered. But it wasn't just him anymore. They called themselves the Silence. They refused the archive. They destroyed their own knowledge, every trace of themselves. They didn't want to be remembered, and what happened? Voss asked. The answer came not in words, but images. The Silence were gone. No records. No ruins. No voices. Nothing. Oblivion, Lynn whispered. Real oblivion. Voss clenched her fists. That's the threat. No, Rafe replied, that's the fear. The archive exists to stop that. They believe forgetting is worse than death. The chamber pulsed again. This time, the symbols on the walls formed a doorway. A final door. Enter to become. No way, Lynn said. Captain, that's not a meeting room, that's a brain. Voss didn't move, I know. She took off her helmet. Rafe gasped. What are you doing? I need to know if we're being remembered or rewritten, she said. And I'm not sending anyone else. Before they could stop her, Voss stepped through the final door. Inside, there was no room. There was only light. And in that light, everything. Voices, sounds, smells, laughter, grief, every emotion. Every thought compressed into a single moment. She wasn't standing anymore. She was floating, or maybe falling into the memories of a galaxy. She saw her own face, her childhood, her mother's last words, her first flight. Then she saw strangers, aliens, dying, laughing, dancing, civilizations ending, new life beginning. And in all of it, one constant voice whispered through her, to forget is to erase meaning. To remember is to honor it. Let us remember you. Voss tried to speak, but had no mouth. Instead, she felt her answer. Not yet, not today. In the archive. Paused. Then the light faded, and Mira Voss stood alone in the dark chamber, whole, alive, but changed. Her head pulsed with memories. Not her own? Knowledge, feelings, 1,000 lives. She walked back through the door. Lynn ran to her. Are you still you? Voss nodded slowly. I think so. But I'm also them. What did they do to you? Rafe asked. They didn't take anything, she said. They gave. Something what? She looked up. A copy. And above her, in the air, a new orb glowed to life. Humanity's light. Still growing, still open, and still being watched. The new orb hovered above the others in the archive, chamber brighter than the rest. Inside it, fragments of Mira Voss's memories floated in slow circles. Her first time seeing Earth from orbit. Her father's hands fixing a broken console. The laughter of her old squad on Titan. She stared at it, eyes wide. That's me, she whispered. Lynn looked pale. It's a perfect copy of your mind. They didn't copy my body, just what I felt, what I knew. Rafe nodded slowly. That's how they preserve. They don't need flesh, they need meaning. The room pulsed with warm light. A message formed on the wall in multiple languages, rotating through galactic tongues until it settled in English. Humanity, your time of decision approaches. Join us, or vanish. Silence fell over the team. Lynn spoke first. Captain, what does join actually mean? Upload ourselves? Lose our bodies? No, Rafe said. You don't lose anything. They don't overwrite, they absorb. You go on living. But a version of you lives in the archive forever. Till we die, she asked. Rafe hesitated. Until humanity ends. The moment felt too big. Voss finally turned to the central beam of light. Why now? She asked out loud. This moment in history, the chamber answered with a series of tones. Then images again. The Resolute, Earth, Mars, human warships, conflict, growth, expansion, and then new images. Other species, watching, judging, ships arming, a slow build-up toward something dark, or predicting war, Lynn said. No, Voss replied. They're predicting extinction. The archive wasn't just remembering, it was preparing. And humanity was at a tipping point. Rafe walked to the glowing orb with his name etched faintly across it. His copy, his echo. I think I understand, he said. Gosh, if we don't accept the offer, they'll leave us out. They won't erase us. But they'll let us erase ourselves. And if we join, Voss asked, they'll carry us. Forever. But as what? Lynn demanded. As ourselves or as ghosts? Voss turned to Rafe. Can they speak for themselves? Not through visions, not through you. I want truth. Rafe looked up. Then they'll give it. The entire chamber went dark. Everything. Total silence. Then a figure stepped out of the central column of light. This time it wasn't blurry. It had form, symmetry. It stood tall, humanoid in outline, with arms and a head-like shape. But its body was made of light and glass, shifting like liquid. Crystal's face had no features, just smooth white glow. When it spoke, the room vibrated. Its voice was deep, soft, not from the air but from inside their thoughts. We are what remains of 10,000 civilizations. We are not your enemy. We are your final choice. Voss stared at it. What happens if we say no? You will live, you will grow, you will die, and you will be forgotten. What happens if we say yes? The figure raised a hand. You will live, you will grow, you will die, and you will be remembered. But you could still interfere, Lin said. You could change us. The being paused. We do not change. We learn. If you become archive, we do not command you. You command your memory. Rafe stepped forward. Why me? Why was I the first? Because you listened. The light brightened. An orb with his memories pulsed once. And then the being said, something none of them expected. You are not the only humans we've asked. The team froze. What? Voss demanded. The figure raised its hand, and a new set of lights filled the chamber. Dozens of other orbs, dimmer, unstable, incomplete. Human names appeared on them. Forgotten ships, lost colonies, abandoned expeditions. They all said no, Lin whispered. No, Voss said. They didn't respond in time. The being confirmed it. They waited, debated. Then they died. We preserve only those who act. Voss took a long breath. The message was clear. This was the last offer. And now, time was running out. Above them, a new tone echoed through the chamber. Signal. Urgent. The ship's AI crackled into Voss's earpiece. Captain, this is Resolute. We've detected an incoming fleet unknown origin, not human, armed. Voss's blood ran cold. Coming here, directly toward the planet. Rafe turned to the being of light. You brought us here on purpose, didn't you? The being replied. Yes. You were the only species curious enough, reckless enough, human enough to enter. Voss clenched her fists. So this was all a test. No, a final invitation. The light faded slightly, and in the sky above, the first alien ships appeared massive, jagged silhouettes blocking. The stars, they weren't here to talk. They were here to erase. Voss looked up at the glowing orb of her memory and finished, incomplete. Then she looked at her team. We're not done yet. She turned to the being. Then give us what? The others refused. The figure tilted its head. And what is that? Voss stepped forward. Give us time. The sky above the archive rippled as alien ships broke through the cloud sleek. Black and bristling with energy weapons. They weren't broadcasting warnings or messages. No hails, no demands, only silence. Purposeful, cold silence, on board. The Resolute, the AI's voice crackled in Voss's ear. Fleet composition, 13 vessels. Unknown classification. Weapon energy signatures high. A time to atmospheric entry, 4 minutes. In the glowing chamber below, the archive being watched without fear, they have come before. To silence, to take. They will not wait for you to decide. Voss turned to her team. Up the ship. Get us ready to launch. Lin hesitated. Not running? We're stalling? Buying time? Rafe stepped forward. They don't care about the archive. They've wiped out record worlds before. Memory means nothing to them. They want dominance, Voss muttered, eyes narrowing. Control through fear. And if they destroy this place, the archive dies. Everything dies. Every voice ever remembered. The glowing being moved closer. We will not fight. We cannot. But you can, and if we fail, she asked, then your kind will vanish, not only in flesh, but in memory. The walls around them pulsed, and from the central light came something unexpected, an object. It hovered in the air, shimmering, a black sphere, humming with strange energy, glowing faint blue from its core. Rafe stepped back. What is that? A seed, the being said. A data construct part, archive, part U. Memory forged with chaos, emotion, uncertainty. Lynn frowned. You made this from us. Yes, we do not understand unpredictability, but you do. You carry it. Like a flame? This may disrupt what they cannot predict. Voss took the orb. It was warm. It vibrated in her hand like it was breathing. What do we do with it? Deploy it. Let it be seen. The AI buzzed again. Enemy ships descending. Firing arcs align in 1 minute. Target, surface structure. Voss snapped into motion. Lynn, take the seed and get to the arrowhead. Rafe, you're with Mirale, a false ship signature. I want them to think a dreadnought just arrived in orbit. Anything to make them pause. Lynn hesitated. What if they don't? Then we show them. Something they've never seen before. They moved fast. Back at the surface, the arrowhead lifted into the air, powered by emergency fuel reserves. Lynn launched the craft in a steep arc, heading for low orbit. Behind her, on the archive platform, Mira and Rafe stood exposed. And then, the sky burned. The alien fleet opened fire. Blinding lances of energy screamed through the clouds, striking the surface like thunder, but the archive didn't defend it. Absorbed, the beams hit, slowed and vanished into the black stone like drops of water into sand. The surface rippled, then it responded. Not with weapons, but light. Massive towers rose from the planet's crust. Not guns. Not missiles. Mirrors. They reflected the archive's history into the sky. Above the world, aliens saw everything. 10,000 dying stars. A child's first step. The last word of a forgotten queen. A scream in the void from a ship lost centuries ago. The human voice broadcasted across all channels. Remember? And that makes us stronger than death. One of the alien ships slowed, wavered, and exploded. It didn't take damage. It collapsed. It's not physically, but logically. The archive seed had worked. Rafe watched in awe. They're fracturing, he said. Their minds weren't built for this much emotion. They can't process what we are. 2 more ships spun off course, crashing into each other. The rest stopped firing, but Voss wasn't done. She opened a direct channel. This is Captain Mira Voss of the United Naval Fleet. You have one choice. Leave this world and remember us sore. Stay and be forgotten like the others who thought they could erase us. For the first time, the alien fleet responded, not in words, but in motion. One by one, the ships turned and vanished. No sound, no threats, just departure. The sky cleared. The archive glowed brighter than ever. Mira stood still. The orb pulsing in her palm, then fading. It had done its job. Rafe looked up at the growing human orb above. They tried to end us. Voss nodded, and now they'll remember us instead. The archive being stepped forward again, surrounded by silence and light. Your flame burned bright. That is all we needed. Voss looked back at the towers, the sky, the echoes of memory around them. Then she asked, Are we part of the archive? Now the being nodded slowly. Yes, but only the part that chose to act. Voss smiled faintly. Then let's make sure the rest of us are worth remembering. The archive was silent again, but not empty. The chambers that once echoed with fragments of 1,000,000 lost voices now glowed with something new. Human memory, human emotion, human will. Mira Voss stood beneath the pulsing orb that held the echo of her life, bright and steady, spinning like a silent promise above the others. All around her, the chamber had changed. New human names shimmered on new orbs. Crew members from the Resolute, colonists from distant moons, explorers long believed lost. The archive had found them, heard them, preserved them. They were not forgotten anymore. Rafe stood beside her, staring into the endless field of memory. You realize what this means, right? He asked softly. That we passed the test? She replied. No, he said.
What?
That we are the test from now on. Humanity is the archive's new frontier. We're not just part of the memory anymore. We're shaping it. From above, Lynn's voice buzzed over the comms. Captain, Earth Command just sent a message. The alien fleet disappeared across multiple systems. No trace. Everyone's asking what happened. Voss smiled. Tell them a story, she said. Tell them we were remembered. She turned to the archive being, who now stood in a ring of soft white light. It no longer felt alien. It felt ancient, patient, familiar. Will we change? She asked. You are already changing, the being replied. You saw death and gave it meaning. You were attacked and answered with memory. Voss looked around. Is that enough to survive? The being's light dimmed slightly.
Oh no.
Species survives because it is strong. Survives because others believe it mattered. Voss nodded slowly. And let's make sure we do. A low hum echoed across the chamber, and a new structure rose from the floor, sleek, metallic, unmistakably human. A doorway. A message appeared on the wall beside it. The archive is open. You are now its guardians. Rafe stepped forward. It's a transmitter. Long range. Real time. Connected to the archive core. Voss read the small engraving below. Input. Memories. Output. Legacy. And just like that, the decision was no longer theoretical. No longer a future possibility. It was now. She reached out, placed her hand on the console, and began recording. Captain Mira Voss speaking. On behalf of the human race, came here chasing a signal no one was meant to hear. We found something more powerful than any technology, weapon, or empire. We found proof that memory can outlive extinction. And we're choosing to be remembered not as conquerors or survivors, but as people who kept asking why. She paused, looking into the orb that held her first memory, her mother's voice, humming a song from Earth. We're uploading our stories one by one, not to boast, not to warn, but to mean something. The system blinked green, recording saved. Around her, the chamber brightened as more lights turned on. Across the galaxy, a silent signal pulsed outward from the Archiva. Soft wave through space, and those who heard it, scientists, scavengers, diplomats, rebels, wanderers, stopped and listened. Because it carried something no other signal ever had. Humanity, its fire, its flaws, its truth. Then returned from the arrowhead, walking into the chamber with a small smile. They're calling us the Keepers now, she said. Earth's already building a listening station. Voss raised an eyebrow. No one asked our permission? Kind of lost that when we became a galactic legend, Rafe muttered. They? All laughed. The tension that had followed them for days now faded into something lighter, something earned. Above them, the stars returned to the sky. The alien fleet had vanished, but not forgotten. They too were now part of the story, not as destroyers, but as the moment humanity chose not to be erased. The archive chamber closed behind them as they stepped outside into the alien sun. A new outpost had already begun construction. A fortress, a library. Ships would come. People would visit. Some to learn, others to share. And humanity, bold, flawed, curious, would welcome them all, because now they were more than explorers. They were remembered, and that made them impossible to destroy.